Moment. What is going on? What is going on? Really? Oh, that's why. When I clean my laptop, I press the darn camera button. Okay. Oh, let's get started. Turn that around some. Okay, I am live for video 1, episode 2 for King's Legacy Group After Hours segment. And tonight you really have me as I am because I just walked in the house from exercising at the park and I didn't make it back in time to hop in the shower and get prepared. So yes, Lisa, I am who I am tonight, for real. So last Saturday was the premiere of King's Legacy Group After Hours. And the first video, episode 1, was about how can she know when you have never taught her? And this is about teaching our daughters. The first 2 episodes are about our daughters, and upcoming episodes will be targeting our sons. And the basis of this talk is to be able to start the conversations with our young girls. Because we can't expect our young girls to grow up to be young ladies and young women being in relationships without the tools and skills that are a necessity for a proactive, good relationship. We expect our girls, again, just focusing on girls right now. We expect our girls to know how to identify and how to deal with bad behavior in the boys and the men that we choose. We expect our young girls to have the knowledge and the skill set to not accept bad behavior within a relationship of someone that we are supposed to love and who is supposed to love us. We have to start with conversation. Going through life as a parent and just saying the general phrases of make sure you choose a man that treats you right. Make sure you choose a man who doesn't put his hands on you. Even being in a situation of someone you meet for the first time, not being afraid to speak up, to have standards, to have a clear understanding of what your boundaries are. We expect our young girls to know all this automatically just because we are turning of age. But our parents or uncles and aunts didn't have even the same skill set that's needed to teach us. Or they thought out of sight, out of mind, or out of experience, don't have to worry about That's not true. So we have to be prepared. Everything that I talk about on this platform is about being prepared and making better decisions, being able to handle situations if we are in a position of negative or dangerous or inappropriate or lack of self-care. And self-care is caring about yourself first over others. You got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of someone else or save someone else. So let's start this segment. And again, this is about having real conversations that matter. How to start the conversation with your daughters and nieces. The first thing you have to do is to create a safe place to talk, a safe space to talk. You need to ensure them is honest conversation. Allow them to ask questions even if it makes you uncomfortable. And don't punish him or her in their responses. So this is the topic for tonight. Those of you that are new to this channel, this is a segment that has branched off from the financial literacy platform, which is on Wednesday nights. And again, I didn't post this past Wednesday. I just chose not to because I was just exhausted. But I will be coming back to finish off the beginning stock, how to become a long-term investor in your future. So Saturdays are going to be at 8 p.m. and it's always going to be live. So just be prepared for some straightforward information. I am working on my list to bring in some guest speakers and to bring in a panel of people so that we can have different points of view on some of these hard topics that we need to start with our daughters and our sons and ourselves and our partners. So yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So before we go any further, as usual, disclaimer. The information shared in this segment of King's Legacy Group After Hours version is to inspire personal growth, encourage conversations between family and other personal relationships, help develop relationship skills that lead to mental stability and human development. I and any guests that ever appear on this platform, we are not professional or licensed therapists or psychologists. You must seek professional guidance in the need for any licensed counseling. So always take responsibility into your personal health needs. When we are in beginning relationships as young teenagers and young women, we all go through the phase of everything looks good, sound good, seems good in the beginning. We have to teach our young girls how to deal with life situations, how to deal with relationships, because we have to take care of ourselves first in making sound decisions that affect our lives and can affect your family's life. When we start relationships, and I'm talking about young girls, there's a beginning stage of a false sense of security and of course, if you don't know by now, we're talking about abusive relationships. There's a beginning sense of a false sense of security. The emotions and affection is frequently expressed to pull you in. We have to make sure our daughters and nieces are able to protect themselves. And that comes with understanding their boundaries, having a level of standards, not accepting abusive behavior within our interested parties. If you have not started the conversation with your girls, we all know how we had it as children, as young girls. And a lot of us made a lot of bad decisions because we didn't know. And our initial instinct as a female is to take care of others. And a lot of times that puts us in a position of, while we're trying to take care of someone else or be protective of someone else's feelings, we put ours on the back end, which is putting us in jeopardy. And we have to stop that. We have to empower our girls with the information that they need so they can prevent or minimize the threat that can enter their lives. And unfortunately, it's these young boys, and I'm not talking about all young boys. Not every boy has been raised or not raised the right way. But the point is, we have too many of our young girls being exposed to these bad behaviors of these young men and men. And a lot of that comes from fear, insecurities, and just not knowing how to react to someone else's influences. At the beginning of a relationship, the guy is going to do what they need to do to get what they want. I'm not going to sit here and say that every single guy is all about sex. The majority is. So we got to talk to our girls about sex. There's no way to get around that. Even if you're raising the best girl, I'm raising one of the best girls, my daughter. But that doesn't mean I still should not have conversations with her about sex. If she's put in a situation and she makes the decision to do that, I prefer for her to be prepared. It's going to make me scream inside and cringe and want to hit somebody. But if she were to make that decision before I would like her to, I prefer that she is prepared with the information that she needs to make good decisions. And hopefully that the person that she decides to have sex with the first time, yes, I can say I hope she waits until she gets married and he's a good man and going to treat her right and love her and respect her. But it doesn't always happen, and it's not a guarantee. I'm sure my mother wanted the same thing of me, but it didn't happen that way. Wish I had some information back then to where I could have made better decisions, but again, that's not what happened. So, last episode, I told you about some stories that took place, true stories, and these were stories within the past 2 weeks to 3 months. I still got a whole list of stories I could tell you all of situations that I was placed in based on me being in that environment. So it's horrifying stories because I know it could have been me, could be Kayla, could be one of my nieces. It's too many of us young girls not being able to deal with a lot of life situations. And when they are in these situations, we look at them and point the finger at them, oh, you should have known better. How could you be so stupid? How could you let that happen? If you are the parent saying that to that girl, you probably was part of the problem of why she doing and did what she did, because you didn't teach her nothing. So again, everything that I bring up is about helping you to start the conversation with your loved one, your daughter, or your niece. I know there are a lot of young girls that are going through things right now, and they're seeking love. You know that song, Seeking Love in All the Wrong Places, because they felt or feel that they didn't or don't have love at home. They didn't get love, the love that they needed from their father. And like I said in the last video, a daughter's first love is her father. Just like a boy's first love, as far as a female, is the mother. And the environment that we put our kids in are contributing to the development of their relationship skills. And if we're screwing up, how can we expect them not to screw up or make bad choices? So, and like I was talking to my friend tonight, when Lisa and I was talking, it's all a repeat cycle of bad behavior. So how can you expect the outcome to be any different for the next generation, for the next generation, for the next generation? Even when it comes to the financial literacy, if your parents didn't teach you, or if you didn't learn it so that you can teach your kids and they teach their kids, it's a repeated cycle of bad behavior on financial literacy for financial wellness. It's no different in personal relationships. If we don't teach our kids, even if, okay, my mother didn't teach me what I needed as far as the extended details of what I needed to make better decisions in relationships as a young woman. But because of my life experiences, that contributed to how I chose to parent. And one of my choices that I made in becoming a parent, although a teenage parent, I took the tragedy of my childhood to empower me to be the parent that would empower my children. And I know that the majority of us parents, we always make a vow, I'm going to make sure my child has better and does better than I did or do. And to an extent, we all do that. But there are some key things that are left out in our development as adults. And so today we're talking about our girls being able to identify abusive behavior. In a lot of ways that our young girls get pulled into these bad behaviors and accepting of these bad behaviors because of the strategy that the young man has in play to convince the young girl, young lady, to follow him, to abide by him. They want you to see your desires to let your guard down. That's one of the strategies. Using our emotional need to be loved. It's a strategy that most young men use to get what they want from the woman that they're targeting. But we got to make sure our girls understand intentions are met with what should be followed by actions. Usually these actions don't last because it's a role, it's a strategy, it's a time frame that a young man has to get you to the level of compliance that they would like. It's all a strategy. Starting a new relationship, those efforts that are put into place are fueled by their hormones, their pheromones, their adrenaline. It's just like buying something new and you are excited about wearing it. We all have had those feelings in the beginning parts of a relationship, and that can cloud our judgment. And we can see signs, we just choose to ignore some of those signs. That's something else we got to teach our girls, not ignoring the signs. A person will eventually show you who they are. They can't keep up the pretense for too long because it takes too much energy. And eventually they're going to wear down from displaying that energy. So their true side eventually comes out. Hopefully it's not to the point of it being too late for you to get out of the relationship. And the biggest problem, we are so desperate for love and approval. And unfortunately, we would do just about anything to make people like us, especially someone that we're intimately interested in. Not wanting to hurt other people's feelings, we remain loyal in situations and relationships, even when their behavior indicates our loyalty and love is undeserved. One of the biggest problems with us as females, we want to save somebody. We want to prove that our love is worth accepting, is deserving of their response of devotion, commitment, love, affection. I don't know whether that's just God's design in us, but yeah, that's sometimes it's a problem as a woman because we just have this need to be loved. And I'm not saying that men don't want to be loved, they do. It's just the issue is how most men go about showing it and demanding it. So yeah, a lot of stuff I'm saying here is going to be said the same for the young boys, but it's going to be on a different level on some instances for each case. It's not a one-all fit all to teach our young girls and our young men. Unfortunately, a lot of it is based on their influences at home and by their parents. So if we don't break this cycle of these behaviors, we're just bound to keep repeating the same thing. We're bound to keep having the same news when we wake up in the morning of young girl being or woman being raped, killed, molested, news stories about human trafficking. I mean, it happens more than it should because we as family and community allow it to happen. Whether you want to accept that or not, is more prevalent because we as a society allow it to happen. I'm not saying it should never, it won't ever happen because that's impossible, but it should be less instead of frequent. So until we make changes within our families and our society, we're going to keep having the same issues. We're going to keep having the same abusive relationships. We're going to keep having the same deviant behavior of human beings. And the only way that people can choose to be abusive and deviant is because they feel no sense of being held accountable. And enough of them are not getting caught. And enough of them are not being taken care of. But that's a discussion that you have to have within your family and within your community. We have to start talking. We got to stop being afraid to talk. What makes you uncomfortable to speak about reality, to speak about life circumstances that potentially can and will happen? I don't understand why there's apprehension on being able to talk about the tough stuff, the things that make you uncomfortable, the things that you don't want your kids to know. Because if you think if they don't know about it or hear about it, they don't have to worry about being exposed to it outside of your house. That's not reality. So let's talk about being mindful of your words. For me, using the word friend and love, I don't use it that often because those words are of value to me. My philosophy is if you frequently use those words, friend and love, with everybody, whether you've known them for one day or known them for 20 years, for me, those words have value and I don't just throw them out everywhere. Because if you just say these words all the time for any and everybody, for any situation, it's never going to have any meaning for when it should count. I'm not going to call you my friend unless you are my friend. I'm not going to say I love you if I don't love you. I might like you as a person, but I don't just readily say I love you to any and everybody. For example, now I have two fathers, and I'm not biological to any one of them, but they have both claimed me as their daughter. That's a blessing for me. My first dad, which is my mom's high school best friend, and they've been friends for life. He passed away some years ago, and he has been in love with my mama since day one, but she never took it past friendship. Now, I think she kind of lied in the beginning, especially when they was in high school, because he was cute. He was on a football team. That's okay, Mom. It's okay if you did give in then. But seriously, he ended up marrying this woman, not out of love, but out of circumstance. He was in another state. And when he passed, that was the first time I ever heard from this woman. When she called to ask me about giving her a copy of his death certificate. I first of all told her, that's your responsibility. You can get that in Ohio. You don't need me to give that to you. That's not my responsibility. But she ended the conversation with, I love you. Now, those of you that don't know me, I'm very straightforward. I don't play. I don't say things I don't mean. If I say something, I mean it. So she said, I love you before ending the call. And I paused to say, and I said to her, I said, please don't take offense to this, but I'm not going to respond to you and say I love you because one, I don't know you. We don't have an established relationship for me to say I love you. So I don't just up and just use the word so willy-nilly. So again, please don't take offense, but you don't need to say that to me because I'm not going to return the gesture just to say the words. I know some of y'all may sound kind of harsh too, but I'm a very honest person, to a fault. I would rather say the truth, than and hurt your feelings or not. That's just me. I respect honesty. And it takes too much energy to lie for me. It really does. I have no interest in lying. Even if I was in a relationship with a man and he asked me a question, be careful what you ask me, because I'm gonna tell you exactly what you're asking me. And it's up to you to have the mental maturity to understand what I'm saying, accept what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. Um, I'm a very honest person. And I know some people that know me can't take that, but it is what it is. That's just what I choose to be. And I don't deviate from that. But I bring this up being mindful of words. When you casually throw words out, it loses its value and its meaning. And when you really need to place those words on the people that are deserving of those statuses, you can miss out and you can put yourself in situations of trusting others that you place these words on and they don't deserve it. And then you're surprised at some outcomes because you placed this person at a level that they did not deserve to be at. I even have gotten on my sister about when, and again, it's her choice, but it's still, I spoke my case. That's all I can do. But I've even stressed to her about having my nieces and nephews calling everybody uncle and aunties and cousins, and that aggravated her when I did that. But I wanted her to understand, and some things she grew to understand my madness of as she got older and more years of parenting. But I'm explaining to you why that's an issue when it comes to your kids. First problem, and I know a lot of you all have done this, when you have babies, you let everybody kiss on your babies. That's a problem. When you have young kids and you come around family members or friends and you tell that child, go give your uncle a hug, go give your auntie a kiss. Do not force a child to be affectionate with someone when they are not. You're giving permission for your child to feel it's okay for any and everybody to touch them when they are not comfortable. Can anybody understand that? My nieces and nephews are scared of me. They always have been. Eventually they grow out of it, like my oldest niece, Journey. But all of my sister kids were scared of me, or are scared of me. That's because I don't tolerate misbehaving kids. It's not that I'm mean. It's just that they know they can't get away with things with me. And all I gotta do is give them a look, and they'll stop doing what they're doing. But even when she would tell them, give your auntie a hug, I'd be like, no, don't force them to give me a hug. They'll give me a hug when they want to. And I don't want them to think that they have to because I'm their aunt. For whatever reason, they scared of me. And it's okay. I know, I understand why. I understand how that makes a child feel. And that puts in their mind that it's okay for you to be uncomfortable for someone to touch you. But either way, you still got to do what you were told and let them hug and let them kiss on you. And aside from, no adult be kissing no kids anyway, unless it's the mom and the daddy, because you don't know what they got in their mouth. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not an offense to anybody, but you know how many people got herpes in their mouth? You don't need to be having everybody kiss on your kids. I don't care who they are. And I've said this to some people I know. Well, I know some people that have herpes in their mouth. No, they should not be kissing on them. Take it the way you want to take it. We got to stop being part of the problem of our kids having trauma in their childhood. We are part of the problem. We have been part of the problem for our kids in their childhood. Well, I was not me. Like I said, I spoke my mind, so I didn't tolerate that with my kids. You don't need to be kissing on my child, hugging my child. If they don't come to you voluntarily, because kids can sense things in other people. You don't force a child to continue to be uncomfortable when they're uncomfortable. That's not right. So being mindful of the words that you use, we got to teach our girls what friendship really means and what love really means. Not everyone you meet is deserving of those titles. Not everyone you meet is deserving of the effort it takes to be a friend and to love someone else. And friendship is not instantly given. How can you call somebody your friend, your brother, your sister when you just met them 2 days ago? That's illogical. And when you announce that to a person, again, because you don't know them yet, what if they are a person that would take advantage of you being so irresponsible and juvenile and saying, I'm your friend? We just met. Oh, I love you. We just met. All of that takes time to develop. Friendship must be earned. What you give and what you get back is all a give and take situation. It's not a one-sided relationship. It has to be mutual acceptance, respect, loyalty, efforts put within the friendship for it to become a friendship. And when you see signs that they're not your friend, it'll be easier for you to cut that off if you know they're a bad influence or not a friend at the level that you are. So yeah, we got to be careful of the words that we use. When it comes to love, love is not an obligation. It's not. Love is a choice to be emotionally supportive. A choice. Love is a positive bond that stimulates growth. Just like a relationship with a partner, it's a gradual growth in a bond. That's just my perspective on friendship and choosing to love someone. So I hope you all understand what I mean by that. If I would like some feedback, if you can give it to me, it would be helpful. Okay, identifying the behaviors. There are many dysfunctional behaviors. I'm just going to roll out a few. There's controlling behavior, aggressive behavior, verbal, emotional, and physical abuse, even denial when you have a relationship with someone, and I mean a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. An abuser strategizes on how to make you feel like you're the one at fault of the issues within the relationship. Denying something that was said previously or let's say you're having an argument with your significant other, and you say to that person, you said that you weren't going to do that anymore after we discussed such and such. And they turn around and say, no, I didn't. I didn't say that. You confused what I said, or I didn't say that it would happen on this level, or just denying things that you know that was discussed or mentioned before, that was supposed to be a promise to change their behavior to a positive behavior, but they chose to deny their agreement to do better and be better. So, and the argument extends to the point where you think you really misunderstood what they said, or they didn't say what they said, or you just, anyway, it's I could tell y'all so much, but let's just get through the dysfunctional behaviors first. Emotional blackmail, unpredictable responses, which are the mood swings. We all know about narcissism, the range of that, which covers a lot of, within what I just said, is within narcissism. Constant chaos. If you are in a relationship where you're constantly arguing, you feel anxiety all the time because you're on eggshells, trying not to upset the other person, trying not to start an argument, although the argument shouldn't start because it wasn't worth arguing over. But they make you feel like you're on alert response all the time to make sure that you don't upset them. You can't speak freely. You can't have your own opinion. You can't not be mindful of their feelings. They want you to put them first all the time. They want you to follow their rules. They expect you to disconnect from friends and family because they want to control your thoughts and your behavior to suit their needs. Unpredictable mood swings could also mean that they're bipolar. They don't know how to control their emotions. They react on something that should be a reaction on a level 2. They're at a level 8. You don't know, from 1 minute they're happy, sad, angry, stressed out, because they don't know how to manage their emotional imbalances. So you should be able to identify, and you can look up a lot of these words. Narcissism, bipolar, there are different levels of being bipolar. You have, just like there are different levels of being dyslexic. What affects one person may affect someone else the other way. How they deal with something one way, another person may deal with it a different way, better or worse. So these are conversations we need to have with our daughters so that they can identify these dysfunctional behaviors when they meet these young men. And some of us grown women, when we meet these grown men, because they haven't dealt with their childhood trauma and gone therapy or dealt with their emotional dysfunction themselves to be productive men. You can't expect our girls to deal with these situations if we don't talk to them about the potential of what could happen in an abusive relationship. If you don't talk to your girls about these topics, they're going to be in a position of allowing themselves to try to fix the person, which can be dangerous. They're going to be in a position to where they feel like it must be something they have done that they need to correct, or they're in fear of their life and don't want to get anybody else involved. So they'll deal with it. And the longer they deal with it, the deeper and deeper and deeper they get engulfed in it, and they feel trapped altogether. Last episode, I had mentioned about giving your daughter or niece a safety word or phrase. That should have been your first conversation. Because I don't know how old your daughters and nieces are, but they may be already dating. They may be in situations now that you are not aware of. So let them know they have an out. You're not the first. Unfortunately, you won't be the last. But they can't feel like they're alone in dealing with these situations. Either they're going to get hurt even worse, emotionally or physically, or God forbid it ends up in death. And this young girl probably would have had a better chance if she had someone to express the skills and the tools that she would need to maneuver through these bad relationships. Bad behavior, dysfunctional behavior, any form of abusive behavior is designed to control and subjugate another human being using fear, humiliation, intimidation, guilt, coercion, uh, criticism, constant disapproval. I can go on and on. But the one thing that's a common denominator for every abuser, an abuser chooses to act mad, sad, scared, or sick to manipulate others to get what they want. Either way, it's all a form of abuse. Even some of, I won't say you parents, some of us parents. Now, not that it's intentional, but some of the things that we say and do is abusive behavior when it comes to our kids. But that's going to be another episode about that. I've already started the content for that to go over. Basic relationship needs. The need for goodwill from others. The desire to be heard, respected, and accepted. These are things that you should expect in a relationship. The ability to compromise, give and receive sincere apologies. The need to live free from anger, outbursts, criticism, and judgment. The right not to be devalued. People that love don't dictate orders to get love. Respect of privacy has to be understood as needed at times. Even though we are a couple, we can't be together 24/7, 7 days a week, every second of the day, where you know what I'm doing, know who I'm talking to, know who I'm hanging out with. No. You're still individuals, even though you are a couple. So respecting each other's space and privacy is a requirement. If you have someone doing other than this, you are with an abusive controller. Now, remember I mentioned the things that I share about my life on this platform is my right to do so. So if you know me and you hear me share a story of my life and you were a part of that, don't take offense to it. The purpose of this platform is to share insight, and hopefully that insight will inspire someone else to make better decisions, live a safer life, choose better relationships. So this is not about you if the story that you hear and you know that you were part of it. This is my life, my story. I have a right to tell it. And I'm doing this to help other young girls. So I'll tell you one story about my life. I've only been in one abusive relationship. And yes, it was one of my children's father. We were together. I worked for the government, and my mother knew that the relationship was abusive. And she knew that I was stressed out. So one day after work, she said, when you get off work, before you go pick the kids up from daycare, let's go to the movies. And that was one of our ways of spending time together because we enjoyed all kinds of movies. That was our decompression. It was hers and it was mine. And it's still to this day is mine. Sometimes I used to go to the movies after work before I get the kids from daycare, or and just go to the movies by myself. That was my escape. So anyway, she asked me to go to the movies, and I told my child's father that I would be home late, that I was going to the movies with my mom. So I wasn't coming straight home after work. I would come home after the movie and getting the kids from daycare. So, didn't think anything of it. So I got home. My mom walked in with me to put the kids down. And I think we had stopped at the grocery store too, and I had some bags. So she helped me carry some of the bags in the house because I was also carrying the kids. At the time, the kids were young. So had to be 4 and 2 years old. So she came in, spoke. I spoke. She left. I closed and locked the door behind her. And as I turned around, I got punched in the eye. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the hell? Why did you do that? What did I do wrong for you to do that? See what I said? What did I do wrong for you to do that? So he was upset that I didn't come straight home. I'm a grown woman. I'm a mother. I'm your woman. Just because we are a couple doesn't mean that I can't do things outside of you. And I was with my mother, of which you knew that. So it ain't like I was out with another man. But again, that was a controlling behavior. Again, which is abuse. And yeah, so I experienced situations like that to where I was being controlled. And he would always say, no one should be involved in our relationship. Now that's true to an extent, but not of his thought process. So Yeah, I mean, my eye look like, if you were to shine a blood plum, that's what my eyeball look like. So now I'm stressed even further because I got to explain this to my mother, who's already fearful for my life. But I chose to stay in that relationship because I thought I loved this man. And yes, I did love him. Again, he's not the same man today. But again, I'm just telling parts of my life story. And I had to keep it from my first dad, the one who passed away, because he was planning to do something, but I talked him out of it. But because I talked him out of it, he had to move out of state, because if he stayed, yeah. So yeah, the decisions you make in your life when you're in an abusive relationship can affect your family's life too. So if my dad had stayed, knowing that this man was beating me, he wouldn't be that changed man today. But because I made the choice to protect him, my dad moved out of state. Yeah. So it's not just your life, and I'm talking to the young girls. It's not just your life that's being affected. It's not just you dealing with the situation that you are allowing yourself to be in. It affects your family, especially your family that loves you. So again, if we don't start having the conversations with our daughters, how can we expect their outcome to be any different? Because we haven't taught them anything of what they really should know. We got to do better, people. The basic relationship needs, again, the need for emotional support, the right to have your own point of view and not be judged or punished for having your own point of view. I'm sure you all have heard the phrase, it's okay to agree to disagree. When you're with a partner, that should also apply. They can't control what you think, what you feel, and what you do. That's not a relationship that you need to commit to or be devoted to, because they're not committed or devoted to loving and respecting you and valuing you as a person. Within a good relationship, there should be a comfort zone to have your own feelings and experiences acknowledged. And theirs as well. This is a give and take situation. I'm not saying that the woman is the only one that should be exhibiting these characteristics and behaviors and beliefs and processes, and the man should also. It's a mutual understanding of a positive relationship. You need to be capable to receive honest feedback and not take offense to what affects you. If something affects me and I want to speak to my partner openly about it, my partner should be able to listen. It's a difference between hearing and listening. You're going to learn that as you get older too. Even if my partner doesn't agree with what I'm feeling, the point is I'm expressing my feeling with the person I'm supposed to be in a relationship with. And again, you can choose to agree to disagree, or you can compromise, or you can gain better understanding of the person's point of view. And if none of that still works, it's okay. Point is, you were available to listen to what the other person is feeling. Don't discount what they're feeling, because their feelings are their feelings. That's real to them. Having a level of maturity within a relationship is crucial. Having similar maturity is important, because if your understanding of a discussion within a relationship, and let's say my head is center, is the zero, and you got the positive and the negatives on the other side. My input is far right and theirs is far left. And we never find a way to get closer to the center for some understanding. We don't have to meet completely for complete understanding, but there has to be some acknowledgement on communicating, listening, respecting. If you can never get to the point where you're closing in for maturity and growth on your relationship, something wrong. We got to stop holding on to things that are not for us to hold on to. Sometimes you got to make a choice, the maturity to move on, to leave and move on. We women want to hold on to something so much to prove we are the one that should be chosen. A lot of us grown women do that. We got to stop. Not everyone is meant for you. Not everyone is deserving of you. And you never have to settle to try and achieve that, of which you won't ever achieve that because you're settling. We need to have a clear understanding that respect is given, not demanded. Expectations. Having standards is not something to be compromised to appease others. Not compromising your values, your morals, and your beliefs. And a lot of this comes from your parents. So hopefully they have given you a decent foundation of having values, morals, and beliefs. If they have done a decent job on that, that should be a good foundation to help you towards dealing with bad behavior in relationships. Hopefully. We need to be able to share, you need to be able to share your needs and expectations without fear of consequences. Expecting a partner to be emotionally healed from childhood or previous adult bonds before starting with you. There are too many of us that are taking baggage from one relationship to the next before we deal with our childhood traumas and our relationship traumas. Too many of us do that. You need to grow on a path of mutual objectives for stability in a proactive relationship. If you're not on the same page, or better phrase, equally yoked, those of you that go to church should know what I'm talking about. Even if you don't go to church, you should know what equally yoked is. You need to be compatible. You cannot change anyone that does not want to change for themselves. They have to change for themselves first so that they could be better for you. No matter what you do, how good you love them, how much you are there for them, how much whatever, they are either going to recognize that and say, you know what? I want to do better so that I could be better for her, and vice versa. I'm not putting it all on men. We have to make the choice. They have to make the choice for themselves first to be better for you. And not everybody's going to do that. So we have to be mindful of that as well. But again, being equally yoked is important to achieve commitment within a relationship. I know some people say opposites attract. Yeah, opposites do attract. But after a while, that friction, that magnetic pull needs to be severed sometime. You have to be on mutual paths for there to be a productive and positive relationship. Yeah. Negative consequences within a relationship. As far as the abuser will deliberately start arguments. They will prolong conflicts, and each one will escalate to a different level of abuse. You may have someone who starts just being verbal, emotionally abusive, and it can escalate to it being physical. And there are different levels of physical, but either one is wrong. Consequences in a bad relationship, name calling and verbal assaults, threatens to reject you, abandon you, mistreat you, and administer specific abuse if demands are not met, meaning if you're not doing what they're telling you to do. And it could be the littlest thing, the littlest thing. The point is they are in a mindset of control. And either way, that control is abuse. And they know this, and they're depending on you to be fearful of it, to be compliant to them. They will make you feel like you're the reason the relationship is failing, but not by not following the rules they set. An abuser disallows any viewpoints that don't align with their point of view. Controls your every action. There is no reason why a man or a woman should monitor your calls, monitor your mail, monitor your friends. You're adults. You're not child and parent. You don't need to look through someone's phone to see who they talk to. If you are doing that, that means you don't trust them. So therefore, you need to ask yourself if this is the relationship I want when I can't even trust you. We got to teach our girls about trust and being accountable in our own thought process within these relationships. If you have to ask yourself, why are you having to do this? Something's wrong. If you have to do things within a relationship because it all boils down to that you do not trust the person that you're with, how you think you're going to change them? How you think they're going to change themselves to be better? How can you be in a peaceful mindset if you're always worried about what that other person's doing or not doing? It's too many people on this freaking planet that you can have a relationship with, get to know, and hopefully it'll be the one that's good for you. Good for you to invest that effort in. Good for you to be vulnerable and share that love with. That person is not the only one. Stop thinking that that's the only one you got to focus on. It's not the only person on the planet. That's not your soulmate. Your soulmate will be easy. If you want to get down to what a soulmate is, it won't be that much effort. You got to stop thinking you can change these men to be the man that you want. And first of all, be honest with what kind of man you want. I heard a long time ago, and it was said to me a long time ago, when you ask God for what you want, you got to be specific. I thought I was specific because I actually have a list, but I left some things out that I thought was common. And the last guy I dated, he's a good guy. But we weren't compatible in the most basic ways. And I had to accept that we were just not for each other. We were two good people that were not right for each other. And I had to accept that because I broke up with him so many times. And I kept. But he's a good guy. But he just wasn't, we just weren't for each other. That didn't make either one of us bad. We just weren't the right match. Yeah. But anyway. Other consequences. Plays against your fears, anxieties, guilt, and your need to please them. Another issue that we women have. We are too focused on pleasing other people when it affects us negatively. But I promise, as you get older and mature, that's going to lessen and lessen. Because I learned this a long time ago. No. Distorts your view of the world, telling you that what you think doesn't make sense. You need to think this way. You need to do this way. You need to believe in what I'm telling you because it's not aligned with the way I think. So they're making you question your own point of view or your own value or your own beliefs. And there are skilled abusers. They have a talent for it. And unfortunately, it will depend on how strong your mindset is. Because some people are more susceptible to the negative influences. I mean, it's no different than Stockholm syndrome. It's unfortunately it does have a lot to do with your stability in your mindset. So everything that I'm talking about is not going to be helpful to everyone. I wish it would be, but I know that unfortunately there are some girls and women that are just easily influenced and controlled. So I hope that the message reaches more than none. That's what I'm hoping for. I can't expect all. That's unreasonable. I just want the message to reach more of us than none of us. Almost done. Family dysfunction that manifests in your future. Attracted to emotionally unavailable partners whom you think You can change through your love. I've already mentioned that. Terrified of abandonment, you will settle and try to hang on to bad relationships. Believing something must be wrong with you and that others will discover your flaws. Parents that weren't loving, you now overcompensate in your relationships. Again, we need to deal with our childhood trauma. Giving more of yourself to undeserving partners at the expense of your self-worth. Willing to take more of the blame instead of mutual accountability. Of course, there's not enough time for me to just go over everything that you're going to experience in life in this episode. But those of you that are listening and will share this information with your female family members, expand on the conversation, on everything that I mentioned. Expand on it. Have a discussion about each one. Next topics that's going to come up next Saturday. Well, not next Saturday, but the next few episodes. Just to give a little run through of what's going to come up. How can he know when he wasn't taught? Same as the female, just on a different perspective. What is being a man and what is manhood? How to treat a lady. What is being equally yoked mean? What is submission? Being vulnerable. What are the stages of starting a relationship? What are the dynamics between mother-daughter to father and son and vice versa? And so much more. I have a few hundred topics so far written down. So yes, this will go on for a very long time. But this is the end of today's episode, and it is going on 9:30, so it's been an hour and a half. So as usual, I hope that you found some value in the content shared tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves and know that knowledge is the real power when you apply it. And if you would, please click like and click share. This helps expand the platform so that we can reach more people with the valuable content. If you like to hit subscribe, please do so that you'll be notified for the live videos. And if you'd like to make a comment, I would appreciate it. If I don't respond the day of the video showing, I will respond as soon as possible. I do have a very busy schedule, so I'll try my best to make time to go over responding to comments. All right. I'm going to say good night, and I'm going to hit the shower. So good night, everyone. And please take care of yourselves out there. Bye, Facebook.